All righty, welcome back for another episode of Two Plane Sports. Today, the dynamic duo has started. Jose is on a hiatus now. His wedding is this weekend, so we're getting very excited about that. Jose, we wish you the best. Welcome to the club, the married club, or you could still run at this point. We still have time as this video is being played. You can head for the hills. Some people agreed. Head for the hills. Some people said just go for it. Congratulations. So hopefully he'll be watching this video at some point on his honeymoon.
He won't be watching this shit on his
Probably
honeymoon.
not. I don't blame him. I wouldn't watch me on a honeymoon either. So, but today we're going to be talking about, we got a great one for you. We got a couple commits. Well, we got one high school commit and then a high school or a college transfer from UCF, both in the running back room. One guy, the transfer just kind of came out of the blue. We're going to provide an update on Wilkin Formby with his recent or upcoming announcement on Monday. And then we're going to be talking a little bit about Peyton Kirkland, a huge target and someone that OU is in a great spot for. So, but before we get into it, just want to say we really appreciate it. We've been feeling the love. We hit that 4,300 subscriber mark. We're past it now. We're going for 4,400. So if you're watching this and you've watched us multiple times, you might as well hit that button, board the planes, and join the Two Planes Club, and hit the subscribe button, turn the notification bell, and like the video and comment on the video. Let us know what you think that on these recent commits and transfers and some upcoming recruitments. Let us know. And then you got to stick around for Brandon's end of video challenge, because I'm sure he's got something interesting for you guys to do today. And if you're watching us or listening to us on Apple or Spotify right now, leave us a review. Let us know, an honest review. Sometimes we have good takes, bad takes. Give us an honest review. We prefer 5 stars, but we understand if we're not a 5-star podcast. So just be honest. Let us know what you think. And that way more people will also find our podcast and grow on that platform. And then another thing is we're thinking about doing a live stream. Just Brandon and I, while Jose is on his hiatus, we might be doing a live stream next week. We'll be announcing when that'll be. It might be middle of next week, just depending on the night, and also might depend on OU baseball playing in the College World Series as well, because next week is going to be interesting. Actually, I guess as you're watching this today, Friday, it's game day for OU baseball. So we're going to be planning on that. We'll be tweeting. Just keep an eye out and turn that notification bell so you know when we go live. All right, so someone that we've been talking about in the recent, over the last 2 or 3 weeks, last few episodes, Caleb Hicks announced his commitment on Wednesday, early evening time. And with DeMarco Murray came out with a tweet of Yamaha, and then you saw Caleb Hicks's video. Hicks, 5'11", 195 pounds, 4-star in the 2023 class. A kid out of Denton, Texas, out of Ryan High School. Last year, put up some great stats: 216 carries for 1,448 yards, 18 touchdowns. He also played in 2020, COVID shortened year, had about 850 yards and 7 touchdowns. So an extremely productive back at Ryan High School, which is one of the top upper echelon high schools in the state of Texas for high school football. Terrific prospect. Brandon, what do you think about that? I think it's huge. And like we've been talking about, people have been worried, where are these commits? Man, the Sooners are heating up.
It's funny because the last video we talked about, we mentioned running backs. We were talking about Daylan Smothers, and we were like, eventually one of these 4 guys, and Caleb Hicks is one of the in that group, Dylan Edwards, Richard Young, Daylan Smothers, and Caleb Hicks. One of these guys is coming. A matter of time. And then literally the next video we do, we have a commitment from Caleb Hicks. That's pretty cool. But I thought his recruitment, I thought his video was pretty cool. I think these videos get cooler and cooler every time. But that's, that's whatever. But it's a great get. As you mentioned, his numbers are fantastic. Having almost 1,500 yards, 18 touchdowns on the ground, 850 yards in 2020. So you combine the two, 1,800 and 800, so 20. He's averaging about 1,300 yards per season. He's not the greatest pass catcher out of the backfield. Just looking at the numbers, he's only caught about 10 passes out of the backfield. But it seems like he's going to be a workhorse running back. It's a huge get for DeMarco Murray. really, really excited about it, and excited to see the rest of this running back recruitment develop. It's going to be interesting to see, because I don't think, we talked about it before we start recording, I don't think we're done chasing running backs in the 23 class. I do believe we're going to get one more, whether that be Dylan Edwards or Daylan Smothers or, ideally Richard Young. But that running back room is getting crowded with a lot of really talented running backs, with a really good coach to coach them. So, I mean, it's hard not to love it for the Sooners.
Yeah, and it's interesting because the timeline on his recruitment is he received an offer from Oklahoma on May 21st. And then like a week or so later, he announced his top 5, which was like Alabama, Arkansas, TCU, Oklahoma, and I think Miami. Just trying to come off the top of my head. He took an official visit this past weekend up in Norman, and then he announced his commitment Wednesday. And that just goes to show that offers are starting to carry weight from Oklahoma. Not that they never have before, but not everyone just gets an offer just because you're a 4-star or you're a 5-star. I know that they've probably been in touch with him a lot longer than, when they offered him, and rightfully so. But the thing is OU was able to identify him and then offer him because Trey Wisner, we thought for a long time, especially on this podcast, that Trey was going to be one of the guys for this 2023 running back room. And then he went and took an official visit down at UT, and he committed to the Longhorns. And then quickly after that, they offered Hicks because they had to identify someone else. And then quickly thereafter, he announced his commitment. I also think that this has some bigger implications as well. And I think I've talked about this on, I don't know if it was the last episode or the other episode when we talked about him, is he plays for Ryan High School. And Ryan High School has, that's where Billy Bowman was at. And then, that was a huge flip from the University of Texas. Terrific guy. And then obviously his girlfriend, Jada Coleman, that helps as well. That
national champion, Jada Coleman.
Two-time
national champion. Yes.
Two-time. Yeah. But having her there obviously helped, but OU was able to flip his commitment. And then the next year they get Caleb Hicks. And that's back-to-back years of landing a kid from Ryan High School. And recent memory, OU struck out of recruiting Ryan High School and, over the last 5 years or so. But in the last couple of years, OU starting to recruit very well. And then you also think about the implications of this commitment. That there's a guy named Anthony Hill Jr. that
I was just about to bring it up. Hopefully we're not done in Denton Ryan High School. Because Anthony Hill would be that would be a big one.
And this is what we were talking about. I think when you get one commit, and not only is the school recruiting you heavily, and because they obviously will, but when you have one of your teammates, and assuming that they're good friends, I don't know if Hicks and Anthony Hill are really good friends off the field. I assume they are. But when you have a teammate that's committed and also recruiting you, that has to help. Not every school can say that.
I mean, it can't hurt. You're right. And not only that, do we have the teammate camaraderie side now with Caleb Hicks committing, but Brent Venables has coached 4 Butkus Award winners, which doesn't hurt either. If you're a linebacker, it's hard to. I mean, I don't know how you could look at that, especially as the number 1 linebacker in the country, and not be licking your chops to play with that guy. I understand Texas A&M is maybe closer and they're throwing a lot of money, but there's a lot of things going on at Oklahoma that I think athletically for him on the football field alone is just a better situation than A&M. And Anthony Hill would be, Anthony Hill, that would be a fun one.
And say the Sooners don't land Anthony Hill, but I'm feel better with his recruitment with having Hicks on board. But you got to think, and I don't know off the top of my head, but the 2024 class, there's probably going to be a blue chip prospect coming out of that high school again. Could OU go back to Denton Ryan High School and go get, a 4-star or whatever the guy ends up being? I mean, they produce Power 5 Division I talent every year.
Yeah, I mean, why not? Keep hitting it.
Yeah, and it's kind of the same thing that I think about is Makari Vickers. Well, OU got Keon Brown to commit, and they're like best friends. That's why, I mean, not
Then
only does, go ahead.
yeah, I kind of felt good about Macari Vickers even before Keon Brown, and now it's it's just getting better now. I mean, there's some dogs coming to Norman, I think.
Yeah, and we've been talking about over the last few months, where are the commits, and we've been saying, trust the process, trust them, and maybe we haven't been fully transparent. We were in the same boat, like, where are these commits at? I mean, it started getting a little worrisome, but then we just kind of had to trust it, and here we go. I mean, this is back, 2 in a week. Cade McIntyre, announced his commitment. Now you have Caleb Hicks. I feel like there's going to be a few more coming up here pretty soon, especially by the end of July. Might see 3 or 4 more. I'm not sure, but this summer's heating up. So it's good to have him on board. And we also talked about, with one committing, like you said on our last video, once a running back commits, I think a second one's going to commit very soon. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, I agree. Like, I don't think guys like Richard Young, where he's wanted by everybody in the country, I don't think he really has to jump to any conclusions or rush anything. I mean, at the end of the day, anybody's going to take him. But guys like Dylan Edwards, he's got to decide now, because if Daylan Smothers calls Brent Venables tomorrow and wants to commit, Dylan Edwards might be shooting himself in the foot, because at that point in time, it's done for his recruitment. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's going to be interesting to keep an eye on Dylan Edwards now. I think he's a very, very talented player. I know he's got a lot going on with K-State right now. I mean, they're building something there with him as far as his recruitment goes. But Dylan Edwards is the name that I'm going to be keeping an eye on now soon, just to see whether he commits soon, whether it be to Oklahoma or not. But he's the big name that I want to see how this affects his recruitment process.
And then we also talked about in the last video is Daylan Smothers. He's taken an official visit this weekend to NC State, or maybe it was already has happened, but I know it's over the next few days or so. He's taken a trip to the hometown school. Could it be that he goes and visits and it's like, yeah, that's great and all, and then realize, like, oh gosh, there's only one spot left. I gotta join. I feel like Dylan Edwards is going to drag this out way too long, like you said, and I think he's going to not have a spot at Oklahoma unless he changes. I feel like it changes by the day with him on where he's feeling and what he likes. So I think it's going to be Smothers and Hicks as the 2 running backs for this 23 class.
I'd be just fine with those 2 for the 23.
Yeah.
That it's I'm going to be excited to see this running back room of the future, with Javante Barnes and Gavin Sawchuk and Caleb Hicks, and let's say it's Daylan Smothers, just for hypothetical purposes. Like, those are 4 pretty damn good running backs. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out and kind of who gets a 1-2 punch, because we've seen OU execute a 2 running back set very, very well. You think of Joe Mixon, Samaje Perine, and I think we can bring that back. But it's hard to feed 4 mouths, especially if they're all real talented. So it's going to be interesting to see how that breaks out over the coming years.
Yeah. So, a great pickup, someone that we have been talking about. It's only been over the last month we started talking about him, but he's already hopped on board. It's huge. Another guy that has kind of popped up out of the blue, and I had no idea, is Bentavious Thompson. The report came out, or there was a tweet from the University of, the OU football Twitter page, where they all went to Mahogany Steakhouse. And I'm not going to take credit for it, but a Twitter account, I can't remember who, kind of identified that Bentavious is there with the team, and he has appeared in the student database. And there's been reports that have come out saying that he's with the team. So that means we got to talk about him. So he's on the team now. OU picked up another transfer running back, Bentavious Thompson. He originally came out in the class of 2017, 3-star. He played for 3 years with UCF, had some pretty solid years, especially I think it was 2019. But last year he wasn't on the team with UCF. I'm not sure why he wasn't with the team. He entered the portal in November, and then he's now with the Sooners. What do you think?
We were talking about it before we started recording. It's an interesting move. I I don't really get it for him. I like it because, I mean, the guy put up pretty decent numbers. He's got a little over 1,000 yards in 3 seasons at Central Florida. His best year in 2019 with 600 yards, 8 touchdowns, and averaging about 6 yards a carry, which is my favorite stat. Another interesting tidbit with Bentavious Thompson is he has 2 years of familiarity with Dillon Gabriel. So they obviously are going to be comfortable with each other. They're going to they've played together. They know how each other operates and how that's going to work. So, a talented kid, pretty decent numbers, really a pretty good 2019 season, as I just alluded to, with 600 yards. But there's a lot of mouths to feed in that running back room again. He's gonna have to earn it. I mean, you look at Marcus Major, you look at Eric Gray. I think Javante Barnes is going to get playing time this year. Tommy Walker put together a hell of a spring game. He's not going to a situation where it's just going to be transferring and he's day one starter or day one even rotational player. Like, he's gonna have to go in there and bust his ass because it's a loaded room at this point.
Yeah, and something, you brought up a good point that he's been with Dillon Gabriel. He was also with Levy, and I don't know why he was not on the team with UCF, but maybe there's a chance that there were some sort of issues academically off the field. I don't know. Or maybe he just decided to leave. But it might be with that relationship with Levy and Dillon Gabriel that, like, if there was some sort of issue that he had, but they know he's a good guy and whatnot, and they're giving him another chance. I feel like he's going to be a walk-on. I have no report. There's no report saying that one way or another. But he, when you think about it, because Eric Gray, Marcus Major, Javante Barnes, Gavin Sawchuk, 4 scholarship running backs. Tolly Walker, Jaden Knowles, Todd Hudson, 3 walk-ons. It would make sense for 4 scholarships, 4 walk-ons. Especially with OU taking 2 running backs in the 2023 class, I just don't know how many scholarships are going to be going around. And, with him not playing last year and then the COVID year. So when you look at his stats, I assume he redshirted in 2017. I'm pretty sure he did redshirt in fall of 2017. He played in 18, played in 19, and 2020 doesn't count. So what is he, a redshirt junior, I'm guessing, coming in? So I think he's got 2 years left. And then that time he might earn a scholarship, but I just don't think he's got one. So because you're going to have to, it's not just 1 year, you have to give him a couple years, and that you got 2 more scholarship guys coming in next year. Yeah,
I mean, it's if he's got 2 years of eligibility left, and I probably agree with you there, but like, it's not going to be easy to get any time in those 2 years. I'm not saying you can't do it, or I mean, he's obviously, if he's got Jeff Levy's endorsement, which he probably does, and Dillon Gabriel, he's probably a pretty decent player, but that room was just deep, and it's getting deeper. It's going to be maybe not this year, but maybe next year when we're kind of younger in that room. It'll be like the veteran back who might start or get touches, but it's a tough spot to crack the lineup right now.
Yeah, and with him, he brings a veteran leadership, like you said. So, this year, if barring some sort of injuries or whatnot, he might be able to provide some leadership and, spell some running backs with some snaps and keep some guys fresh when that championship November comes. That's one thing I could see that would really benefit, is having a guy like him, been there, done that. And then, if you've got a few guys banged up in late November, you can give him a week off and throw Thompson right in there. Or could he come in and compete for snaps? I don't know, because Marcus Major's been dealing with injuries, but then you got Javante Barnes, who's just sitting there waiting to explode, I feel like.
He's going to be really, really good too.
Yeah. I mean, everything. I mean, he was a great recruit coming out, but all the spring practices and everything else, he just has been tearing it up. So 2 great additions for the running back room, 1 scholarship guy for sure in the 23 class, and we're not sure where Thompson is, but Thompson's with the team. A little different how to discover it, but have to give credit where it's due that someone identified him in the picture, because I wouldn't have, if I'm being completely honest. So we'll move on to the next topic. not the most uplifting or exciting. Wilkin Formby, 2023 4-star, 6'7", 295-pound offensive tackle out of Tuscaloosa, Alabama. He's announcing his commitment on Monday, the 20th. And it seems like it's going to be Ole Miss. He went to OU for the Champ U barbecue. He visited Ole Miss early, in late April, visited Alabama on June 10th, visiting LSU the 17th. And he's got one scheduled to Tennessee on the 24th. But I'd imagine if he's going to commit on the 20th, he's probably not going to be committing to Tennessee. And I think he's just going to go to Ole Miss. And that's what the crystal balls say. Just being honest, we've talked about him on here before. Don't get your hopes up. Crazier things have happened, but it is what it is. You have anything to add, Brandon?
No, I agree. An unfortunate looking situation, but as you mentioned, crazy stuff can happen in sports. But yeah, it doesn't look great, but it is what it is. I think we look in a great spot for Peyton Green. So you win some, you lose some.
And speaking of great spots, like you said, Peyton Green, but we're going to talk about Peyton Kirkland. Kirkland, with now OU losing out on Bryson Sanders, and we've assumed that Formby will commit to Mississippi. You lost 2 4-stars. OU's lost 2 4-stars. And now they're in a great spot with Peyton Green. But Peyton Kirkland becomes that much more important to OU in the 2023 class. They've got Logan Hallen still out there from New Jersey, but he's a 3-star. But it just emphasizes how much more important Peyton Kirkland is. Kirkland, he's 6'6", 345 pounds, which I don't even know how you're 6'6", 345 pounds going into your senior year of high school. 2023 4-star, number 260 overall, number 25 offensive tackle in the class. He visited Oklahoma on the 3rd, and then he officially visited Florida on the 10th, and he's visiting Michigan State this weekend, and then he's got a midweek visit with Miami on the 20th. Kirkland, it seemed like everything's going really well with Kirkland's recruitment, and Kirkland idolizes Trent Williams, Oklahoma's own Trent Williams. And I believe his mom is moving. They're currently in Orlando, but I believe she's moving to Houston, Texas. And I think his mom plays a big factor in his recruitment, and he wants to be somewhat close to her. Obviously, no school is in the state of Texas that he's been visiting or going to be visiting. But I think having her in Houston puts OU a little higher on his list just based off of geographic location. It seemed like his visit to Florida went really well. He's been to Gainesville so many times, but there's just something telling me that I feel like he's going to be a Sooner. Now, Michigan State and Miami could do something because Miami, they're getting hot and they're recruiting well with Cristobal and his staff. But I'm feeling pretty good about Kirkland. He announced his commitment on the 23rd of July. What do you think?
I mean, I hope you're right. 6'6", 345, and he moves like he's not 6'6", 345. It's him and Caden Green could be a really fun duo. I know he put out that fun tweet with Jackson Arnold or with Caden Green and one other lineman and said, like, Jackson Arnold, what do you think of this? Which is cool. Hopefully Jackson Arnold's playing a part in his recruitment process. If he's hopefully his mom does move to Houston, we can play that proximity game that we talk about on the show all the time, because that helps. Because when you look at the schools, as you mentioned, none of them are. If he goes to OU, he would be the closest one to Houston, and it's not like it's close or anything, but it's the closest to Houston. He's a really great prospect, really great size. Would love to see it happen. Hopefully, Trent Williams is still pretty close to the program and playing a part in this process too, because, he idolizes Trent Williams, as you mentioned, and it's still like it'd be hard to tell him no if he's in your ear pushing you to, be a Sooner. And I think Coach B can develop him, and he can be something really serious at OU if he does decide to make that decision.
Yeah, I think Florida is going to be the biggest competition here. Miami does loom. I don't see Michigan State being a true threat. I mean, Mel Tucker and his staff, they're doing well. They're getting some good prospects up there. I mean, they even got DJ Hicks up there for a visit, but I just don't see Michigan State being a true player here in the end. I think it's going to be an OU Miami, Florida, but mainly OU Florida battle for him. And, you got Derek LeBlanc still out there. I think Derek LeBlanc is an OU lean. I think that might play some sort of a factor in Kirkland's recruitment, but losing out on Sanders and Formby, Coach B and Oklahoma needs Kirkland and Green, and to go with Bates, and then try to pick up a fourth guy in like Logan Howland or another transfer. And even Jaden Chapman as well would be a good target. And I know OU's in a good spot for him. But that's all we've got for recruitment. Brandon, I got to ask, as they're watching this show, OU baseball will be playing, I believe they play at 2:00 or 1:00. Maybe. 1 o'clock Central, against the Aggies, Texas A&M, just like how it should be. That's always fun. What do you think? Do you think OU puts up 10 on them today?
I mean, I'm obviously pretty biased as a big time Sooner fan, but like genuinely, we've got to be one of the hottest teams in the country, just all around. There were bullpen issues early in the season or middle of the season. That seems to be, for the most part, pretty under control. Chaz Michaels pitching his ass off. Sandlin threw a hell of a game. We just hit Virginia Tech, which is one of the hottest teams or one of the hottest offenses in college baseball, to close them out in Blacksburg. Beat them 11-2, ran them out of the arena pretty much. They beat a good Florida team. This team, we've talked about it over and over again, is peaking at the perfect time. I'm excited to watch it later on today. I think we're going to win. Like, if I were a betting man, I'd actually bet Oklahoma. What about you?
I mean, yeah, of course we're biased, obviously, and most people that are watching this probably are biased too towards Oklahoma. But you're right. If you look at it objectively, OU is one of the hottest, if not the hottest team. The other team I think about that's really hot is Ole Miss. Ole Miss is on fire, but they're on the other side of the bracket. Another thing that I noticed I thought was pretty cool, the SEC has 4 of the 8, and then 2 of the Big 12 are about to be a part of the SEC. Mm-hmm. So this might as well be the SEC championship, postseason tournament play. Another thing that would be really cool is I'm rooting for Texas to win their first game, because how fun would it be to meet them in the second round and beat them, and then just, let them battle it out between Texas A&M and whoever, or is it A&M and Notre Dame, and battle it out. And the losers bracket, then we can play the winner of Texas A&M.
Notre Dame might not be a team you want to see either right now. They just beat Tennessee, who Tennessee looked like they were the clear favorite to win this whole thing. And Notre Dame just kind of gave it to them in Tennessee. So that's another team that I wouldn't want to see right now. I'm glad that, in all reality, I kind of like our spot drawing A&M first with the first game.
Yeah, I really do too. And then knowing that Tennessee's still not out there, and I do agree, Notre Dame is a dangerous team. They're hot as well, but not seeing Tennessee is kind of nice. Tennessee also, they had it coming for them all year long with the showboating, flipping the bird into the outfield. They thought they were too good.
I thought they didn't stink.
Yeah, pretty much. And so it was good that it finally came back and bit them, because that's how the Vols are typically. So I feel really good. I think OU wins by a couple of runs. I think it'll be tight. I feel like, how are they going to hold? I just think if OU plays it the way they've been playing, they can beat anyone in the country.
8-3 OU.
8-3 OU. I'm going to say 7-4. I think it's going to be a little closer. I don't know who's pitching game 1 as we're recording this. It's a couple days before, but I think between Peyton Graham and a few others are going
Kendall
to
Pettis, Tanner Treadaway. Let's just keep it rolling.
Yeah, they're going to keep
the bats moving. Yeah.
So someone that, a game that we're going to be watching this afternoon, as you guys are watching this, We're going to be doing wedding stuff and everything else. So getting ready
Probably,
for it.
we'll probably have a couple mimosas in us by the time we're watching this game, bud.
Yeah, we'll probably be hanging out by a pool bar or something, watching the game and hanging out and just rooting on the Sooners. So if you made it this far, we really appreciate it. And if you watched us for 30 something minutes and you haven't subscribed, you might as well. It's free. It helps us out. Turn the notification bell so you know when we're going to post. I think we're going to do a middle of the week live stream next week. So if you want to, keep up to date, be sure to like us and subscribe. And then find us on our social medias, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Apple, and Spotify. If you're still listening, you haven't left us a review on either Apple or Spotify, be sure to do so. That would really help us out. And then we'll be back on Monday, the 20th, and hopefully we'll be talking about an OU win. And they're still playing in in Omaha, and we're looking for a national championship. But we appreciate it, and we will catch you guys next week.